My memorable Christmas. It was Christmas Eve, and everything was supposed to be perfect. My parents were hosting the annual family gathering, and I had just arrived after a grueling 6-hour drive through snowy roads. The house smelled of cinnamon and baked ham, the fire crackled softly, and laughter filled the living room. But just as we sat down to dinner, disaster struck. The lights flickered, and suddenly we were plunged into darkness. A storm had knocked out the power, and within minutes, the house grew cold. My younger cousins panicked, and my grandmother, who was recovering from surgery, shivered despite our layers of blankets. Desperation settled over us, but my father, a natural problem solver, suggested we move the party to the garage where his generator was stored. By candlelight, we carried tables, chairs, and even food outside. The garage smelled of gasoline, but we didn't care. The generator roared to life, providing warmth and light. What could have been the worst Christmas turned into the most intimate and heartfelt. We huddled together, telling stories and singing carols, more grateful than ever for each other. It wasn't the Christmas we'd planned, but it reminded me that true joy lies not in perfection, but in resilience and love.
My memorable Christmas. I often think back to the Christmas of 1962, the one that remains etched in my heart. I was a young man then, just back from my first long stint working abroad. Money was tight, and my family hadn't seen me in over a year. I arrived home on Christmas Eve, just as the snow began to fall, my suitcase filled with small gifts I'd saved for. When I opened the door, my mother gasped, and for a moment, everything froze. Then she rushed to embrace me, tears streaming down her face. My father, a stoic man, gave me a firm pat on the back, his eyes shining brighter than he'd admit. My younger siblings swarmed me, eager for the treasures I'd brought, trinkets, candies, and handmade toys. That evening we crowded around the old dining table, which groaned under the weight of my mother's cooking. There was laughter, music, and storytelling that seemed to stretch into the night. It wasn't about the food or the gifts. It was the simple joy of being together, of being home. Looking back now, after decades of Christmases, none has been as warm or as perfect. That night I learned that happiness lies in moments, not things. And I've carried that truth with me ever since.